Let's get to know the artist behind the epic melodies, songs, and beats. Celebrating the best new music from around the world. This is the A State of Trance podcast.
Yes, my name is Ruben Ronde and welcome to a new A State of Trance podcast in the studio today with none other than Volaris. How are you doing, man?
Great, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, hot off the back of your guest mix on the show. A nice progressive dance. I was enjoying it so much. I was dancing and like half an hour just flew by.
Do you know, it felt like a dream. Literally, it just flew by. You know, I've been preparing it for a little while. In fact, I did that edit of Lustrial every time. So that was prepared for the show specifically.
Shout out to the Space Brothers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, great track. So yeah, thanks for having me and I hope you guys enjoyed the mix.
I loved it. So let's start at the beginning. You're from the UK, of course. Suddenly, last year, you had a lot of tunes just popping up. Big releases, supported by everyone from John Summit to... Name them all.
Well, Vintage Culture.
Vintage Culture was playing your stuff, yeah.
Yeah, Above and Beyond, Armin. It's just been across the board, which is quite nice, really, because I think for me, the whole point of this project was to create music that had no limits. And I'm trying to sort of bring in influence from house, techno, tech house, and just everything, really.
Yeah, we'll get to the start of Volaris a little bit later, but first we're going to go back all the way back. Back in time. Because I'm always curious, because there's always a good story behind this. Like, how did you get infected with the dance virus? Like, what was the moment in time that you were like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to become a DJ.
So the specific moment in time, I remember it really clearly. I got bought the Essential Millennium album from Pete Tong. I think it was my dad that bought me it for a Christmas present, and I literally loved it. So it had like loads of like really classic house records on there, and it was sort of, I think even Paul Oakenfold did a mix on there as well, I think. So yeah, again, it was just the first thing I heard. I remember hearing Frankie Knuckles' Tears was one of the tracks on there, the Full Intention remix, and that just got me into dance music straight away, and then just went out and started buying vinyl.
So your dad bought you a CD and that got you infected?
100%. So my dad used to be a DJ. So when I was younger, he was always playing like funk records and loads of stuff from Diana Ross all the way through to Phil Collins.
So you always had house music in the house?
Yeah, always, yeah. And my dad was eclectic taste in music as well, so similar to me now.
Awesome. And from there on, you were enjoying the tunes. You started clubbing, I guess. And that's the moment then you saw someone behind the turntables. You're like, hey, I can do that as well.
Yeah. I mean...
or do it better.
I mean, yeah, I think everyone's got different style. But for me, yeah, it's seeing everybody from Sasha and Digweed all the way through to Carl Cox, Joseph Capriati. I mean, I did a season in Ibiza 2014 where... seeing Joseph Capriati on a terrace was probably one of the best moments ever. But yeah, I've seen so many DJs now; it's ridiculous. But I've been partying for a very long time.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, and because the why I'm asking is because there's always the moment that you started either DJing or getting into dance music, clubbing, and then you get that moment that you're like, hey,
yeah.
I want to make these kind of tunes. Do you still remember sitting down for the first time writing your music?
Yeah, so I think I must have been about 19 or 20 when I decided to do that. And that was off the back of actually going to Ibiza for the first time.
Yeah.
So I went to Ibiza, it was circa 2006. Went there and saw a number of different DJs. I think even Joris Vaughan at Space. And I just thought, I want to try and get on this and start making tunes because it just felt great.
Yeah.
And I looked up in the DJ box and I thought, that's exactly what I want to do. In fact, I remember going to Ministry of Sound quite a lot. And I remember turning to one of my best friends at the time and I just turned around and said, look, I'm going to be playing here one day. This is what I really want to do. And, fast forward, a few years later when I was playing at Ministry of Sound. So, yeah.
Back when there were still a lot of CDJs. all next to, I remember this Ministry of Sound in London was one of those clubs. You entered the booth. First of all, I have to paint the picture a little bit. It's a dark hall with a lot of sound.
Yes.
It's always packed. It's always sweaty. And I remember the DJ booth was always, I don't know why, but there was always like, it feels like 20 CDJs is lined up next to each other. They don't have that anymore, but it used to be like a spaceship that you stepped into. A little bit low. I'm tall, so you almost bump your head. So yeah, magical place.
Way too many CDJs.
What are you supposed to do with all of those? So, which program did you start making your music in?
Fruity Loops.
Yeah. You're still doing that?
No. So I've used pretty much all the doors you can think of. So I've gone from Fruity Loops through to Cubase. I then moved to Logic. And then there was this argument back in the day where, Logic sounded better than Ableton. So I was a Logic purist for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And then somebody showed me Ableton, and the speed of it, I was like, wow, I need to get on this, because like getting the ideas out is the most important thing. Trying to write creatively. So again, I still, even to this day, I'll still sometimes take projects out of Ableton and put them into Logic and mix and master in there sometimes. It just depends on what I'm doing and how detailed I need to go.
Yeah. I guess you can look at it like that. I think Ableton is the best though, but it's a discussion that everybody can have. It's a preference, I guess.
I mean, I do a lot more purely in Ableton now, to be totally honest.
But there's so many producers that work in how do you say it? In Fruity Loops as well. I think Ben Hemsley is also in Fruity Loops. So.
Yeah, it's a great. I mean,
a lot of artists are. It doesn't really matter what you use to cook. It's what it's the end result that matters.
It's a very important thing to say, actually. If any young producers are out there, it doesn't matter what you're using, just know how to use your tools.
I know a couple of guys actually that are really good in GarageBand. They make music in GarageBand. I was like, I didn't even know you could do that.
No, I think you overlook GarageBand. You sort of go straight to Logic. But.
Yeah. Well, it works. It works, right? How long did it take you to make something releasable?
Oh God.
Because some people take a long time, and some.
I mean, I made music and sort of put it out. I mean, whether it was good or not is another matter. But I think it's taken me a good 10 years to really feel comfortable in putting stuff out that I'm happy with. Mm-hmm. I've put stuff out in the last sort of 5, 6, 7 years that I was really happy with. So it's probably taken me a good 10 years to get to that point.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And then the first release that you ever had, how long did it take you before? Like you started making music, and then what time frame did you use to create your first released tune?
I think for me, I was always a DJ first, and then the production was I was just doing it because I loved it. Yeah. And I think it was just having the confidence to then put stuff out. But my first sort of big release was actually through Ministry of Sound.
Really?
In fact, tell a lie. My first release was on Toolroom. So I won a remix competition. So I did, there's a track called Minority by Dirty South.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, this is years ago now. And I did a remix of that, and I sort of came like 3rd or 4th or something on it, and they still put the remix out, so I was really happy with that. Then after that, I did a track on a label called Noir. Mm-hmm. It was just, those are the first tracks I was quite happy with.
Yeah, and you were working on different aliases back then, right?
Yeah, I've done a few things in my time. But
could you name a few?
Yeah, so Nathan Cazzetto, which is my actual name. Yeah. So I've done stuff through both of those.
And then suddenly the pandemic came.
Yes.
Yes, you say it with a smile. Yes.
I'm the only one that's happy about it, I think. But.
Because we've heard that here on the podcast as well in the last few months, that the pandemic came and suddenly you had a reflection at everything that you were doing in the studio, and you started making a switch, I guess.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah. So, you sat there with a bit more time on your hands, and I thought, you know what, I've gone so far with certain projects, and I've done pretty well with Cos. I sort of managed to play at high, and I did Printworks as well under Cos, which was great. Mm-hmm. But just wanted to start doing something that was a little bit more aligned with me, and I've always just loved big beats and melodies. So I decided to sit there and go, right, how are we gonna sort of change this up, and what am I gonna do in terms of moving this forward? And I wanted to create, in fact, what I did was I created about 20 tracks and then just went out to the market and said, right, who likes what? And obviously Salado picked a few bits up. Mm-hmm. Obviously I sent some stuff to Phil from Armada, and the rest is history.
And then you started a new alias called Volaris, because you thought it was something separate that you were doing in the past, or you were like, okay, this is time for a fresh start. I just need to make a new alias because it's so different than what I used to do.
Yeah, I think a fresh start. I think I wanted to come into it with a bit more of a brand identity and sort of come at it from a point of more melody. I think what I was doing before was very groovy and sort of, and I love playing, groovy records. But for me, I just wanted to make something that was a little bit more melodic, had a bit more feeling to it. Vocals, I love a vocal. So it's just sort of trying to get all of that together in a melting pot and see how it turned out. And we've created some sort of Volaris sound somehow, but we're there.
Volaris. So can you tell us, how did you come up with the artist name Volaris? What does it mean?
So, there's a couple of different meanings to it. So we were just, I was looking for something that.
So you produced 20 tunes and you were like, okay, what now?
Yeah, exactly. So it was then looking at how do we come up with a name? And I was sat with a friend of mine called Jem, and we were sort of just batting a number of different ideas across. And then we were sat in the car and I was just playing all the music, and he just came out with, I think Volaris is a great name. And I was like, do you know what? I really like that. But we've got like a list of 25, 30 different names, and we're back and forth in WhatsApp groups and trying to come up with it. And but yeah, Volaris actually means the palm. So for me, you know, the palm is important in terms of, you know, touch, feel, and yeah, again, when you're in front of a crowd and they've all got their hands up. So I thought Volaris seemed the right name for it.
That's awesome. I wonder how that friend came up with that name.
I don't know. He just literally came out with it. I think he'd been planning it for about 10 years or something.
He's been waiting for the right moment. He's like, wait a minute. You never know. I mean, Volaris. Well, I think it's a great choice. For me, I think it was like beginning 2022, Phil sent over some tunes and I was like, holy shit, who is this? Out of nowhere, these big tunes are coming in. And then I realized you were already doing a lot of music under a different alias, so it made a lot of sense, of course. Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, so I think, yeah, again, it's just trying to, sometimes you got to just refocus and put your attention into something, and this feels right.
Does it also mean that you have to reset totally? Like, are you going to leave your other project behind and reset everything and just focus on this alone?
Yeah. I think for me, it's time to move forward and just stick with Volaris now and do that. I mean, you know, we started a whole new socials pages, new Twitter and everything, just because I wanted it to be completely separate. And I mean, it seems to all be sort of growing, and off the back of things like Printworks, doing this show, things like that will be, you know, hopefully helping build the social media. So go follow me, Volaris, Volaris Music OFC.
You're allowed to plug 100%. Isn't it scary to start all over again?
Yes and no. I was actually more excited about it because sitting there through the pandemic, we were just making fun, you know, tunes for fun. And you know, I'm sitting there sending tunes and ideas to friends and going, oh, what do you think to this? What do you think to that? And you know, it was just a good time to enjoy the music. And for me, I've just been only excited about it. It's now getting to the point now where you sort of think, right, I've got to follow that up. And, you know, it sort of becomes a little bit more
You're like, hey, this is going quite well.
Yeah, to be fair, you write records for fun. And then you sort of get to a point where you go, right, okay, well, I want another record to be as good as this one or whatever. And you start chasing it. But I've got to try and keep the fun element to it because that's the whole point of this for me.
Does it mean that the stuff that you created before Volaris, was it more... how do you say it? Business music, that you were doing it more for?
No,
more for the dance floors rather than for yourself.
Yeah, I think it's more for the dance floors than myself essentially. And I don't know, like as a DJ, I always sort of try to make tracks that would be, I don't know, just sort of fit into my sets. But yeah, this just feels different to that somehow.
Yeah. And I think it's quite ironic because everybody in the pandemic started making slower music without having a dance floor in their mind, and now all of a sudden on the dance floor, this stuff is actually working really well.
Yeah.
The more progressive, melodic. Just look at Tale of Us. Also Solara, what he's doing. It's amazing to see.
Yeah. I think you know, I'm pretty lucky because I started Solara's label with them probably about 7 years ago. So I've seen their meteoric rise, and you know, the guys are super cool. Always kept me on as A&R, so I've always sort of passed records back and forth. And I think I've been lucky because I get to see how it goes inside the industry, and you sort of see what trends are happening and all that sort of stuff. But for me, I sort of went, do you know what? I want to sort of step away from everything and just do something that I love. And this is where we got to Volaris.
Do you also see your friends around you, because you say that you've been part of that whole group already for a long time. Did you also see a switch in their sound as well?
Yeah, I think so.
How do you discuss this within a group of artists like that?
I think it's just things do come in and out of fashion, and you know, people do look for trends. But I think most of the time, especially with the people I hang around with, it's more sort of trying to just enjoy it still. And I think, yeah, again, when you're sending music back and forth, yeah, you try to keep that buzz going. And it's like, right, you know, again, I send a message out. I need tracks for Printworks, and you get excited like a kid in the candy shop.
Yeah.
You get those new IDs, and you're like, right, I want to play this, I want to play that, and you know.
Yeah, well, I think you guys set the trend instead of following.
Exactly.
I guess, yeah.
That's it.
Because you're also the host of the radio show of Solar Music.
Yes.
Radio.
Yes.
So you're here in a familiar environment.
That's it.
You do a little radio show. So how did you end up doing that as well?
I mean, Mark rang me one day and was like, "Look, you know, you're doing this project, Volaris. Do you want to do the show?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool. Well up for doing that." And yeah.
And now what?
Well, it started off. Obviously, they've got a certain sound, but for me, I've sort of tried to take it into my own direction now. So we're sort of doing a bit of a blend between what Solado do, what I do. Last week we just put out my Printworks live mix on the Solar show. So that was a little bit of a special moment for me as well.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, we talked about this on air on the regular show as well, that you played Printworks. I saw some footage of it. I have to say, I'm not jealous really fast, but I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely been the best gig of my life so far. So, yeah, I can't complain.
How would you describe, because Printworks, it's a club in London and it's going to be shut down in May, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Because they're going to put some random flats on top of it. Such a waste.
What a waste.
Anytime that they do those kind of things, because it happens a lot in London. I remember the how do you say it? People just trying to save minutes to your son as well.
Yes.
Turnmills in the past.
Yes.
The key. And now this one is going to disappear as well.
Yeah.
But at least you ticked it off your bucket list.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, thinking back to it, like in this moment, it still gives you goosebumps. And you're sort of playing it, and you're looking down that long hallway, and you just sort of can't really see the end of the crowd, but you see all the hands up, and yeah, it's incredible.
Oh, man. I have to visit before May. We found a tweet of you saying that you sold your car to follow your dream, that the next step is going to quit your day job. Did you quit your day job already? And what's the story behind that tweet?
No, not yet. So hopefully my employer doesn't see this, but looking to
Sorry.
quit. It's fine. It's no problem. I think, look, we've got to just get a few things in place. And then once the team have the right agent on board, we'll be doing a lot more shows. And that'll be the point where I just decide to quit.
Yeah, because you tweeted that quite a long time ago. And now I guess things are coming together a little bit more, I guess.
Yeah. I think we're looking at probably April time. I'll be able to go out and do things, because I also write as well. So it's not just the DJ side. We're obviously doing other production work and writing other records for other people as well.
So you write a lot of other music as well besides Volaris?
Yeah, just getting into writing camps and sort of trying to get on points on records and bits and pieces.
While you have a normal day job as well?
Yeah.
And you're a father?
That's correct, yeah.
How do you do that? What kind of space, what kind of magic do you have that you just juggle around time like that?
In the pandemic, I built my own studio in the garden. So I've got my own workspace, which is essential. But I've got a really understanding wife, to be totally honest. And she's known I wanted to do this for a very long time. Yeah. And I think, I've taken this, I've done it before as a tour DJ and sort of doing a couple of gigs every so often. So she's pretty used to it, but obviously this time it's going to be a different ball game. So
yeah, now you're going to go, hey, I'm going to Miami, honey, bye-bye.
I know. Well, on that note, yeah, we've got 2 shows in Miami coming up in March for the Miami Music Conference. So
the open to close one.
That's correct. Yeah.
It's 11.
That's correct. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up, the funny thing is, what I said also on air, that Miami that's the spot 11, the club. It's next to Space, I think.
Yes, opposite.
So everyone that's on South Beach that goes out to clubbing or to any beach or pool party or ultra music, at a certain time, it's like 3 a.m. Everybody just goes to 11.
Yeah.
So you'll be playing over there?
Yes, I'll be playing there from 7 a.m. till 9 a.m. So I'm just going to work out
7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Oh my Lord.
I'm working out whether I sort of stay in bed and then have breakfast at like 2 a.m. or do I just go straight through. I'll probably end up partying and going straight through and playing.
To be honest, you can just go to bed, have a nice sleep, you can have your cereal, you can do your workout, and then you go to the club. Everybody's a zombie and you're going to have a good time.
It's my first time in Miami. I don't think I'll be sleeping much.
You're in for a treat, 100%. If you were to have open a folder on your computer of all the music projects that you haven't finished along the years, how many tunes would there be there, and why haven't you finished them?
Oh God, there's a lot.
Shout out to Nina for the question.
That's a great question, Nina. But yeah, it's a lot of music on the hard drive. It's just loops. Like the amount of times I'll start an 8-bar, 16-bar loop and then just forget about it, and you'll go back and go, oh, what's this? And sort of find a project, and it's like named something completely random. And even to be fair, some of the tracks that we've got coming out, I still have to try and find the original folder because you always call them something different. But I mean, I've probably got another 150 ideas on my computer at the moment that aren't finished, like on a loop basis. But then we've probably got another 10 to 12 that we're trying to get finalised and finished. But it's I mean, I make music pretty quickly, to be fair. Yeah. So I try to spend a day on something and then move on to the next thing and then refine it.
Really?
Yeah.
Only a day? So so a day for the initial idea.
That's correct.
So when you started making a tune, is it something that you create like a 16-bar loop or something like that and just keep on working on that? Or how do you normally start about with a track?
Always a kick. So like the kicks.
Kick, really? You start
always,
with the kick?
Yeah,
okay.
always the kick. Some people start with melody, some people start with vocal ideas. I mean, to be fair, if I've got a remix, I'll always put the parts in, listen to the parts that I like, and then go from there. But for me, dance music is about the kick and the bass relationship. But I'll start doing drums. Like drums are my thing. I love making drums. That's why I've got so many 16-bar loops, because I'm just always making drum grooves. But with this, it's getting a little bit easier for me, because you sort of try and you find a sound and you find 10 different kicks and 10 different hi-hats that you like, and
the tick tock tock tock.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So I sort of have everything set out now, and you try and work a lot quicker. So in Ableton, they've got like folders where I can sort of set things up and have my synths and bits in there, and it makes life easier.
So you start out with the kick, and then the rest comes naturally.
Yeah, I'd say kick, then so do the drums, build a groove, 16 bars, and then just try and put like either a bass line in, and then I'll go into melody. Whether it's like an ARP, so we do quite a lot of ARPy stuff, or whether it be some chords, or again finding a vocal that works and building the chords around that. But for me, I use sort of what I do on the master chain is I always put like a little bit of a filter and some reverb, and I'll always sort of build a bit of a melody and then try and do like a bit of a drop,
so it comes to life.
So it feels like what you're doing in the club, you can feel it, and then I'll sort of work on that and get it to a point where I'm really happy, and then extend and do the arrangement.
What is the first synth that you load into a project? Little bit of a geeky question, but
No, I think Spire is probably the thing that I load in most now.
Okay.
But again, I've got all my channels are set up with. I have automatically on every channel set up. I've got Decapitator.
Oh yeah,
and I've also
Soundtoys.
Yeah, Soundtoys Decapitator. So Drum Fattener 1, and then the preset if you want to use it.
Very good one. Yeah.
And then I also have like Fab Filters EQ, so the Q3. So I have that on every channel, just because to be fair, on all my drums I try and add in a little bit of harmonic distortion and stuff like that. So
fuzziness.
Yeah, a little bit of fuzziness. Yeah,
I like that as well. The Soundtoy stuff is just amazing in general. Anyway,
I mean, I just recently bought some UAD stuff, and just going into that. Well, say recently, it's probably been a couple of years now, but I love the UAD stuff as well.
Now they have Spark as well, so you don't have to carry around your controller anymore. Yes. So that's the sound card. It's great. I have some questions from listeners as well. Robert J. Shearer wants to know, what is your biggest dream?
I mean, to be fair, my biggest dream is to quit my day job and do this full time. Like, I've always wanted to do that and just be on the road, touring, making music. So as soon as I can get to that point, I'll be pretty happy.
How do you know that point has come?
When I have my notice in, and I turn around and say, look, that's it. I'm going to try and do this full time. And for me, I mean, I've got big dreams of playing certain venues. And it's just looking at how to get to those positions. Again, I want to try and do all the major UK festivals, just because I've done them. I've been to them as a raver, and it's trying to go over to. I mean, I love traveling Europe, so for me, it's like any gigs I get in Europe, I'm happy with, because I just love the culture and sort of getting out. But the dream for me is just to do this full time.
At a certain point, you realize, okay, now it's the time to just to make that step. It's a scary step, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because you know all the certainty goes away, and then okay, here we go.
That's it.
But I think I really admire that you do that, because a lot of people have the same dream, but just don't dare to say it, or they give up before they even try to get there. So I think, good job that you're doing that. Pollock 424242 wants to know, which DJ did you listen to the most when you were younger?
It's been different over the years. Like, the first ever DJ that I listened to the most was DJ EZ. So I used to love garage back in the day. I must have been 13, 14 years old. And then off the back of that, it was probably, the likes of Carl Cox, when I see Carl Cox at Space.
So more the techno side of things.
Yeah, 100%. And from that, it's then leading into, Marco Carola, those types of DJs. I spent a lot of time listening to those. And then again, for me, Radio 1, Pete Tong. Spent a lot of time as a youngster listening to that show and sort of dreaming about being on the Radio 1 as well. So
that's one of those monumental things that every producer or DJ has, that to have a tune on Radio 1. I remember this is going to be back to 2005, 6, 7. The first thing you did on a Monday morning was to check the playlists on BBC One to 100%. See if it was Dave Pearce and Judge Jules and who else was Eddie Hallowell, of course, Pete Tong, but getting played by Pete Tong was impossible. Impossible.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, you reached that as well. So.
That's it. Well, we had our first Pete Tong players, Volaris, last year with Slow Motion, so I was absolutely buzzing with that. And then we've just had another one recently with the same record, to be fair, but John played it on the radio. So Radio 1's a good look.
Was Slow Motion really the tune that kicked everything off?
Yeah, 100%. So it's quite funny because that record was it's quite trancey.
It is.
Yeah, and it's got a big euphoric breakdown, like a little bit of a vocal. So I wasn't really expecting John to pick it up. He said, "Oh, have you got any music?"
And he played it every single set.
Yeah, literally every single set. And I think he still plays it now sometimes. But it's a record that really put us on the map. And then off the back of that, we've obviously had the other releases that come with it. But that's definitely, I think, been the one that's catapulted us. But to be totally honest, Vintage Culture played Through the Night. So he's gone through the back catalogue and he played it only a couple of weeks ago or so, I think. So
like, hey, he did his homework a little bit late.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
but better late than never.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he's been a good supporter of us. To be fair, he's played Tiger and a few other releases of ours. So
yeah, I think that's also hard at the back as well. From what we said also on air, that you see that everything's just melting together. Like Vintage Culture would grab a tune like that, and John Summer playing, your tune as well. So from the techno side of thing, house side of thing, everybody's just picking up everything. And I think that's so amazing. Like I discuss this with my friends all the time as well. It's such an amazing time to be a producer right now and DJ because you can do whatever.
Yeah.
And that's why you guys are also flourishing right now, I think, as well.
Yeah, I feel like that was the aim for me. I wanted to be a cross genre, and I think I remember years ago. I remember speaking to sort of old management from back in the day, and they were saying, look, you've got to have a track that can cross boundaries, and that's what I'm hoping to try and do still.
So, you want to have a track that's being played by and Deadmau5, and by Carl Cox, and by Armin, or whatever.
Yeah, 100%.
That's how you make a difference.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, what is up on the horizon in the next couple of weeks?
The next couple of weeks is going to be Miami. I think I've already mentioned that. So we're going out to Miami at the end of March. At the end of March, I've got my Purified release. So Noreen Pure has been a big supporter of us as well, which is amazing.
She's great.
Yeah, she's
big fan.
Yeah, and her music's incredible, and I just love the vibe of the whole team. To be totally honest, they're great guys. So we've got that coming up. So that'll be a track called Aqua and a track called Sphere. But Nora's had them she's probably had them for about 7 or 8 months now. So
she just wants to play them for himself the whole time, and then she's like, okay, now I'm tired of it. I'm gonna release them.
That's it. Yeah. So which is great, and she played them all over the place. So we've had that record, and then we've got Armada. So we've got a track called Lifted coming out in April. And then we've done a dark edit, which I made specifically for Printworks, of a track called I'm So Weak, which came out on Armada on
with Cammy,
February, with Cammy Robinson. Yeah. Shout out to Cammy. Incredible vocals. Hopefully we do some more stuff with her as well. So the dark edit's coming out in April, and it's definitely a club weapon. So
and then the summer's coming up as well. You're gonna have your schedule is going to be packed with all the stuff that's coming around. And the Hand of God just came out as well.
Yes, Hand of God's just come out, and we've been getting some decent support on that one as well, to be fair. So, it's just all trying to keep up with it, because we've got a release schedule that's like probably every 4 weeks until the end of the year.
Yeah, because you created so much back then, and now you're already making new stuff as well. So.
Yeah, so I think the problem I've got now is that, like, as a producer, you'll know this. Every tune that you make, you sort of think, "Oh, I like that one more than the last one, more than the last one." So we're just trying to keep up to date and put stuff out. But with release schedules, as I said, we're pretty much fully booked until the end of the year with releases. So we might try and fit in a few remixes here and there. We've got a pretty big remix we're working on at the moment. I can't say much about it, but it could be a game changer.
Okay.
Hopefully that'll...
Well, no one's listening, so tell us.
No. You won't get it out of me, but management will kill me.
Who cares? They're not here anymore, so it's fine. No, okay, well, let's keep it that. And you also make I love that one, the Reflect, Need for Love, the remix. Yes. I still need to get that over your USB key. It's still there?
Yeah, no.
Okay, I'll steal that.
You can have that. I think there's only 2 other people that have got it, so you can have it. No problem at all.
And what's going to happen to the remix you did for the Space Brothers?
To be fair, I only made that probably just before the weekend, and it was specifically for this show. So as I said, I think I said to you in the break, I can't remember if I told you on air or if I told you on the break, but for me, I loved the Nailin and Kane remix, but I always felt it sort of didn't get going until it had the bass line come in. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to do a rework of it, because I love the vocal. I love the sort of... Yeah. Every time I...
Wait, do that again.
Yeah, lovely bit of reverb. No, I'm not singing though. No. You caught me a little bit. I love that.
Not for social media, so don't worry. We grabbed
Oh God. But yes, I love the vocal. I love the like the breakdown just gives me goosebumps. So and yet again, I had to get this one finished. So I think I'm even going to extend this breakdown a little bit, to be totally honest. It really works, but I want to sort of go in and make it really euphoric and a little bit more, give it a bit more of a nod to the original, to be totally honest.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to hear the result on that one as well.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for answering all these questions and sitting down and coming from the UK all the way here to be on our show.
I've had an absolute blast, so thank you for having me, and I'll definitely come back again, no problem at all.
Awesome, thank you. Well, give it up for Volaris. Where can we follow you on socials?
Yeah, so follow me. All my socials, all my socials are the same, and it's at Volaris Music OFC.
OFC, official.
That's it.
So no fake ones.
No fake ones.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of State of Trance podcast. Next week we're going to be back with Colony. See you then. Bye bye.
Thank you for tuning in. Check all previous episodes on YouTube or your favorite podcast portal.